I'm always looking for what can I have, what can I do that's going to give me just a little bit of an edge. I think the mental part is the next frontier as far as I'm concerned, is as getting an edge.
This is the Mental Mettle Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome, I'm your host, Coach Thomann. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission, help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your mettle. Welcome back, Metalheads. It's Coach Thomann here on the Mental Mettle Podcast, and I'm so glad you're here. To all my listeners that, that are pretty faithful, tuning in every week, or at least every other week, or when they hear a guest that they want to hear and pay attention to. Either way, I can't thank you enough. I know that the podcast and it as a platform to get spread and just ways for people to listen and pay attention to what I'm talking about and what I'm preaching. Like, I know that it's a big part of my growth as a business, and I wouldn't have that. I could sit here and talk every week, but if nobody's listening, I would probably stop that. And since I am having people listen, it kind of keeps me going. And I know that when it keeps me going and I keep putting out episodes, it helps the business grow. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And as far as the business is growing, my thanks to all of you for listening and helping support is it's through the roof right now. I'm in the middle of a very busy season and I'm loving it. I was just doing a little bit of counting up because I kind of get behind, and I'm working with 4 high school football teams right now directly, working with them, working with 5. I've got 5 to 6 high school basketball teams that I'm going to work with in some capacity coming up in this season. Working with about recently 5 to 6 different schools, working with their coaches, their student councils, their student athletes, just in different capacities. Not every school has the same program, but working with a lot of them, some of the speaking engagements, and this is all just recently. And then, of course, on top of that, I've got a lot of my individual clients, probably about a dozen or so, active right now that I'm working with. And it keeps me really busy, which is a good thing. I like being busy. And it may not be you directly being one of those clients, but I know, again, that people that listen, that support the show and just shoot me notes and messages, and even if you just say, I like what you're doing, keep it up. It keeps me going to help this grow and to get to the point that I'm doing something that, if you know me at all and you pay attention to, I'm doing something now that I know that it's my God-given purpose, and I'm here doing what I'm supposed to do, and that is an amazing thing, and I love that. And I'm starting to realize there's, of course, there's times, and through this whole process, and I'm not saying it never goes away, but occasionally you get the imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the point is or what this is, what am I doing? You think you're not, the inferiority complex and stuff like that. And that's less now because it started to grow. But I talk to people, and my guest today is one of those that whenever they listen to what I have to say, because they see this as something they can use to get the edge, to help them out in their coaching, and realizing that kids are different. The situation is different. And the mental edge is probably the difference in a lot of winning games and helping kids and having a better program. And they're starting to realize that. And when they reach out to me to look for some ideas on how they can do that, that really helps. I love that. I love being able to help. And again, my guest today, what's really good about this is what really helps me give a little bit of confidence in what I'm doing is, so my guest today, so I'm about to turn 50, and my guest today has been coaching since before I was born. And that's not to call him old, because he's a great guy, because he's young at heart. But he has been coaching for over 51 years. And I can't, like, to have somebody like him be invested in what I'm doing, paying attention to what I'm doing, thinking that there's some value in it, and trying to take information from me on how he can apply to his team. He's doing assistant coaching now. That means the world to me, because he's got so many wins, so many good, successful seasons. To have somebody like that be interested in what I have to say is just so. I'm so grateful for that. There's a lot of gratitude there, a lot of gratitude for my guest today, Tim Meiss, and he is a fantastic guy. I've gotten to know him. We do a lot of Bible studies together. We did for a while before, at an earlier time. I've had roundtables with him, coached against him, all these things. And Tim Meiss is a fantastic guy, fantastic Christian. He is just a model to look up to. And to have him, again, reaching out to me to ask some questions and try to gain some information on what I do, it's the world to me to be able to hear that. So pay attention to this episode, because if nothing else, understand Tim's attitude and remember where he's coming from. Tim would not have to listen to somebody like me. He wouldn't have to listen to anybody. Tim has enough knowledge on basketball and coaching that he could just do what he already knows and be fine. But he's constantly reaching out to learn more information to gain that edge. And I think that is probably a key for his success and why he's been so successful and why he's been coaching for 51 years, because he did that. It's not like he just started. I think he's done that from the beginning. And I think that is, again, a huge part of his success. So take note of his attitude, the way he does things and what he learns and how he moves forward, and just gaining information, getting that edge. And it's, if nothing else, do that from this interview. So I'll get you on the other side just to give you a little bit of prompt on how you can do some of the things he's doing and just motivate you a little bit to move forward. But for now, enjoy the episode with Tim Meiss. Welcome to Mental Mettle Coaching, where our mission is to help you learn to thrive in the face of adversity, not just survive it. We are passionate about empowering you to live, play, and work with a resilient and spirited mindset. Hi, I'm Matt Thomann. I'm an ICF professional coach and keynote speaker. My background as an athlete, basketball coach, teacher, and school administrator has equipped me with the insights that resonate deeply with the schools, teams, athletes, and coaches I work with. However, it's my personal journey through anxiety, cancer, and an ischemic stroke in 2020 that truly brings authenticity to my presentations. While learning to speak and write again, I also pursued and earned my ICF coaching certification. Now the practices I embrace are more than theoretical concepts. They're a way of life. Developing a positive mindset is within reach for all, but it requires self-awareness and the repetition of intentional activities. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we'll guide you, your staff, and your students on this transformative journey. Together, let's forge your mettle. All right, welcome back to the Mental Mettle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann, and I'm here with a good friend of mine, Coach Tim Meiss. How you doing, Coach?
Good. Thank you very much.
I'm trying to figure out, I'm racking my brain right now, and I'm trying to think if I've ever had a guest with more experience.
Oh,
Because I'm looking at your sheet right now, and you've got 51 years of coaching experience, right?
yeah. Yep. 51.
I mean, I'm impressed. It's very impressive.
Well,
It's a lot, the fact that you're still doing it, and yeah, my first experience with you, and you wouldn't even know this, is I was a high school senior. I'm the exact same age as your son Nathaniel,
oh,
and I was at the state championship game.
uh,
F- Phenomenal game. I know you came out on the wrong side of it.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, you were within a bucket of a state
hmm,
championship there.
yeah,
That was a
yeah.
that was a phenomenal game.
It was, and just our path there was exceptional as far as having that run and stuff was really enjoyable. But the ending of the game, we were down significant, made that comeback, and then to get beat on a buzzer beater was well, it was disappointing. But as you look back, it's quite an accomplishment for those boys.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's easy to look back. I mean, and know that, and you and I have had enough conversations. You know that, like, that you can't hang the entire thing on whether or not one shot went in.
No, no, there's enough other things that were going on at that time that makes a difference. Absolutely.
Yeah. So run me through a little bit. We mentioned you got 51 years of experience. Run, run me through some of that, like where you've been, what you've done, and I'm assuming. I mean, we're forgetting the fact that I'm sure you played basketball too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
played in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, give me some of that rundown and just where you've been and just your journey.
Yeah, well, I graduated from Hayworth High School. I did start 3 years on the varsity basketball team. I did four sports. You were able to. Went to WIU, played freshman year football as a walk on, and then ended up graduating from ISU. My first job was a maternity leave at San Jose. And so Doug Coryell was the head coach at that time, a great guy, and tremendous coach. Went to Hartsburg Emden as a junior high coach. Got a chance to coach a pro baseball player, and Bill Sampson. He went on and was a reliever in the majors. And so I was there as a junior high coach 2 years, 3 years as varsity. Went to Monongahela Rutland before we became Fieldcrest.
Yeah, yeah.
1 year wonder there. Yorkville for 4 years. And then up at Eureka, coached 44 years as a varsity. I'm sorry, 36 years at Eureka, and then helped my son Nathaniel over to EPG as an assistant the last 4 years. And now my son-in-law, Aaron, who's at Eureka, is going to allow me to come back and help him.
Yeah, I can't think about, I don't know, it's amazing thinking about all the fingers and people that you touch,
Oh,
and like, you know what I mean, like the fact that you went and helped your son and coaching your grandson
yeah,
Micah,
yeah.
and then now back with you're just, your family tree is synonymous with basketball.
It is. It is. My cousin Pete, who coached at Gridley in he would have been the late '60s into the middle '80s, was the one that really got me excited about basketball and stuff. And so then it's just gone through my family. You know, when you're a coach's kid and you're in the gym all the time and you're around it all the time, it's hard. I mean, some don't, but it's hard not to get excited about basketball or even coaching in general.
Yeah, and then just a couple weeks ago, I had Abe Zeller on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my cousin Pete's nephew, and so
Yeah,
that's yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
It's just I see that in this area. I see your name, and just the influence you've had on so many people.
oh, thank you.
And it's and that's in a good thing. That's a good.
Yeah.
I'm saying that in a good way. Um, and a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about is, and I don't want to keep. I'm not trying to keep, like, just trying to build you up or something. But I've always been very impressed. You have 51 years of experience as a high school coach, and it struck me. I didn't know how to take it over this summer. I ran that camp, that
Oh,
passion for the process camp,
yeah.
and you guys sent a kid over
Mhm.
to the camp, and you asked me, if you could come watch.
Yeah.
And that was my first thought. Was I knew you had 50 some years of experience, and I thought, what is Tim Meiss gonna come over and try to, and I know that you weren't and I know you well enough to know that you weren't doing it in a judgmental fashion.
Oh no.
And I never even thought that.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing. I know you're coming down because you're like, what could I learn?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can't tell you like how I don't want to say it's rare, because it's not rare, but it's less common for somebody in your shoes to have your experience, 658 varsity wins, 51 years of experience, 2 state tournament appearances. I could go on and on, for you to want to come and just pull information from different sources and you're like, hey, this is a new thing. What can I
Yeah.
learn from this?
Yep. No, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and the first thing I want to tell you, I was able to stay 2 days, and I had some conflicts. I was sad because I kind of wanted to play it all the way out. But it was the 2 days that I was there, it was excellent. Our player just loved it. He couldn't speak
Yeah.
enough good about it. So that you guys, I know it was a first time deal, and you're trying to figure some stuff out, and maybe it wasn't quite as big as you'd hoped for, but I think it was an excellent camp.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I thought it went well, and I knew your player. I heard around the way. It wasn't even like looking for compliments. I heard from somebody else that had said it was the best camp he'd ever been to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
That's what
thought,
he
and
said.
that wasn't me fishing for compliments. That was what he
Yeah.
said. And I thought that makes you feel good that you
Oh,
actually
absolutely.
you're on something, right?
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're trying to help players to become better, not only just in the basketball realm, but in life in general. I mean, the things that you guys used and applied, well, is great for sports, but you can look at
Um,
life. I mean, life is just like that. So uh, it was an
well,
excellent camp.
yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I appreciate that. But that's what I took from you just showing up, wanting to gain information. How can I use this? What can I learn?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I'm just curious about if that was something that you've always thought, or if that's
Yeah.
something you've like, the more like, did that grow the more you were in it, or were you always that way? Or like, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah.
The way you are right now, I'm curious how that got to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for one thing, my cousin Pete always took me along as I was a young coach. He would take me to different places. He would introduce me to people. Networking is so important, as you know, in our profession, and so that's huge. And so you get to go places, you get to meet people, and then you can make connections, and they help you usually down the way. But the thing that I always striving for is an edge. I'm always looking for what can I have, what can I do that's going to give me just a little bit of an edge. You know, back in the 70s, it was weight training. You know, you used to basketball players wouldn't lift weights.
Right?
I mean, you look at
Yeah.
Lane, and I'm thinking, you know,
Well,
guys in the 70s are going, well, he can't shoot. And I'm thinking, man,
right.
you guys wouldn't know. And so,
Yeah.
you know, it started with that. And then I worked Dick Bumgardner's camp for, I don't know, over 20 years. And because I wanted to teach shooting in a natural way. I mean, everybody's got something. You can do beef or you can do all these different, but to find the one and to be able to have an edge, can I get my kid to make one more shot, one more free throw, one more, you know, whatever it is, you know. And then it comes into conditioning. I mean, conditioning is a big thing. People trying to figure out, you know, how to condition your team to make them better. We know whether it be what they eat, what they drink, different things like that. And I think the mental part is the next frontier as far as I'm concerned, is as getting an edge.
I'm with you. It's like I mean, you just gave the premise of what my business is, because I think that I've talked about what's really interesting is what you just talked about there. Like, my dad played college basketball in the, I don't know when it was, Tim. I mean, it's a while ago, so it was probably in the late probably in the late 60s.
Yeah.
He was playing college basketball, and no, they didn't lift. You didn't
No,
lift.
no,
You weren't allowed to it, right? You
no,
weren't
no,
allowed to do that. And
no.
then once they started figuring out, oh, well, you can do both. You can, as long as
Yeah,
you keep
yeah,
shooting. The
yeah,
bigger, faster, stronger athlete
yeah,
is the one that wins. And now you
yeah.
wouldn't even imagine a basketball program that
No,
doesn't lift. You just
No.
can't even do it. You just can't do that. And then now that's a given. We
Oh
know
yeah.
that you have to work on the basketball skills, and we know that
Yeah.
you have to work on the physical skills. And you're
Yeah.
right. I don't think there's a coach out there that doesn't say I. It helps if a kid has more mental skills. I think
Yeah.
every coach knows that,
Oh yeah.
but the difference is it's not part of the game plan. It's not part of what we do to develop. We're not trying to
Right.
develop. We just think it'll happen on its own, or even worse, coaches that think, well, they just are what they are.
Yeah.
And that really that's something that really gets me going. That
Yeah.
upsets me when we
Yeah.
see when a high school kid sees a kid that comes in and says, well, this kid's just not tough. I don't want him on my team. So I don't
Yeah.
want him on my team. I'm like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
like that's your job,
Yeah.
right?
We're coaches. We're supposed to coach them.
That's your job, right? I know. Yeah. So I love the praise, and thank you for saying that, and again for kind of like preaching what I'm trying to say here. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, but I love that you just always figured out that you're looking for that edge, and honestly, you can't. I don't know. It's hard to get that edge when you're only thinking with what you already know.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can't. I mean, you got to have somebody to bounce it off of, or you got to have somebody that gives you an insight. We always talk. Not very many people have created something in basketball. It's always stolen or
Right.
borrowed, however, whatever you want to call it. I don't give it back, so it's got to be stolen. But but that's what it boils. You know,
Yeah,
I mean that's what
that's
it boils
fair.
down to. Yeah. So it boils down to that. So working, and that's where networking gets involved, or just having guys that you can call up, or like seeing that you're willing to let me do that. I went. Oh. Oh, now I can't think of the guy's name that was. It would have been in Purdue. Rick Mount. Rick Mount had a
Yeah.
shooting camp down at Millikan, and I just went down there just to kind of see what he was doing. So I wanted to compare it to Dick Bumgarner. I happened to see something on. I don't even remember how I saw. I got something in the mail as a coach, so I just went down there. Nathaniel and I went down there, my son, and just to kind of see. I mean, so you get a chance to do things like that. Take some time out. I mean, it's time. I mean, that's the thing. It's going to take you time.
Mm-hmm. That's what. Yeah. Yeah. It's so many of the things that I talk about doing these things with athletes and doing the extra thing and like finding the edge and then applying the edge and
Yeah,
stuff like that. It's a lot. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it is a, yes, it's a lot to be able to do that, but you can't back into to greatness, right? Like
No, well, no, you can't. You've got to be willing to spend the time and to take a chance. I mean, in all those things, doing whether it be the lifting, the shooting, all these things, you're taking a little bit of a chance. You're sold on it. Can you sell the kids on it? That is the biggest thing because you can tell them and they can look at you and shake their head, and you think they're you're having a great conversation, and nothing hits. And so you've got to really, I mean, you got to probe, you've got to look at stuff, and you got to re say it in different ways, and just try to build on that.
well, that, not just the idea, but you have to sell them on the level of effort it takes to pull off this idea,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
probably the harder part, right? When we talk
Yeah,
about buy-in,
absolutely. Yeah,
that's the hard part.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's
what else?
uncomfortable.
Oh,
Well, some it's
yeah.
uncomfortable. Some of the stuff you do, like I was talking to Kyle, our player that was at your place, and he was talking about he's still journaling. And he says, sometimes I have to get up real early and I can't journal. I don't feel good about it, but it's just that day. He's trying to talk through, but it's starting to become a habit more with him. But at first, I mean, it's not much. It doesn't take long, but it's something you have to do, and so it's hard to convince kids of that.
It is hard. Like we have to find things new, and this could be weight training, this could be skills
Oh
training,
yeah,
this could be mental training. We
yeah,
have to find the trick is to find things to move the needle and
yeah,
then continue to do those things religiously
yeah,
until the needle starts to move. And that is
yeah.
honestly, that's a longer process than people want to believe.
Yeah.
They think that, I mean, we've always been told that habits are like 28 days things, and
Yeah.
it's much more than that.
Yeah.
I could get into the psychology about it, but it's like, it's much more than that, because every time you don't do it right or don't do the new thing, the old thing is easier for you.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. You've done it so often, so long, so many
Yeah.
reps, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about, like, in your experience. I'd love to, and I know I'm really going to tax you here a little bit, but what are some other things that you've picked up from other coaches that have literally, like, over the years, you're like, things that you picked up from somebody that became part of just what you do or what you did? If you can
Well,
because I'm really trying to preach this idea of, like, you've got to get out and, like, learn from others, because it takes a little bit of vulnerability. You can't just assume you know everything.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So a number of things that I've done. The first thing is my cousin Pete was huge on the man press, and later in my career in the Corn Belt, we couldn't do it as much, but that was a staple. The full court man press, the run and jump. Chuck Rolinski, who's the father of IBCA basketball, he had a play that my cousin Pete took from him, and it's just basically a real simple play. We call it Toluca, and in fact, my son-in-law just put it in last year again. We had run it in my program when I was here, and he used it again. And so it was Toluca. We ran, Roger Smith was at Flanagan back in the 70s when they were real good. They went downstate at Braxy. He ran a play off of a high pick. It's like a UCLA cut. We call it Flanagan. We still use the Flanagan,
Yeah.
the Flanagan set. I had Tri-Valley coach years ago, and had a delay, and we call it Tri-Valley. So we run the Tri-Valley delay. Um, drills you get from people that you continue and you use. We've got a shooting drill that we call, well, it's called the Patino drill, and we didn't get it from him, but a guy who Dick Bumgarner got it from Rick Patino,
Yeah.
and so there's a number of different things like that we still institute. Usually we give credit to people who give it to us.
Yeah. Well, that's what's funny is, like, yeah, I'd always have these drills, and the names of these drills change names, because, like, I might call it, like, you got it from Dick Baumgartner, and I might say, well, I call this the Tim Meiss drill because I
Yeah.
got it from Tim Meiss, and you know what I mean, and then it becomes this, like, that's what I love about the whole coaching profession
Yeah.
and doing this stuff. I can remember another early experience I had with you was I went to a round table. You used to have those
Oh,
round tables
yeah.
there, and I came with Mitch Holmgren because I was coaching with Mitch, and he was like, "Hey, just come on in." And I can't tell you, I shouldn't have been, but I think I'd only been coaching a year or two, and I came in, and I'm sitting down with you guys, and I'm like, I'm scared to speak. But just the willingness of you guys to invite me in and then allow me to pick your brain, but then I can still remember you asking me a question. Well, what do you think about this? Or how do you do this? And I thought, and that's when I knew, I was like, okay, if Tim Meiss can ask me a question, I can ask anybody a question. Coaches, do you dream of guiding mentally tough athletes towards a championship? Kids that are resilient, persistent, and unshaken by setbacks. Well, in today's world, those athletes aren't born. They have to be developed. Many athletes face significant challenges and risk burnout. So how do we foster that mental toughness without overwhelming them? Well, introducing the Ember to Inferno program, Building Mentally Tough Athletes. This series is designed specifically for coaches, offering a deep dive into your own journey of mental toughness and equipping you with practical tools to build confidence and belief in your athletes. Rather than just simply adding more adversity to their life, we focus on creating a strong foundation for mental resilience. You'll learn how to transform a spark of motivation into a blazing fire of toughness, using techniques that address challenges like social media pressures, athletic stress, and trauma. Don't just wish for mentally tough athletes, build them. Join the Ember to Inferno program today and ignite the potential in your athletes. For more information, contact me, Coach Thomann, at Mental Mettle Coaching.
Parents, is your athlete ready for the upcoming sports season? They might have the strength, the speed, and the skills, but without confidence, they can still struggle when the game is online. Skill and strength are great, they're necessary, but they're not used to their full potential without the right mentality. Confidence is key. It's the key to unlocking that full potential. And at Mental Mettle Coaching, I offer personalized sessions designed to build the confidence your athlete needs for a successful season. My proven techniques empower them to perform under pressure, both on the field and in life. Don't let a lack of confidence hold them back. Book a free session today and discover the power of confidence. Visit the website, get started on the journey to a more confident, successful athlete with Mental Mettle Coaching.
So I'll always remember that I felt like if Tim Meiss can ask me a question, I don't know anything. I always felt like I can ask anybody anything, and I can't be too worried about that, especially in these. I think that was what's so cool about those roundtables you get. It was just coaches, like, and it wasn't like, I was also amazed at the idea that it was coaches meeting that were competitors, right? All in the same conference, but that didn't matter. It was all about advancing each other, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, that I really enjoyed that time. In fact, I've had a number of guys ask me if I was going to start it up again, and I said, well, I don't know about that, but it was a great time of sitting and letting guys just kind of talk about what's going on. And it wasn't always X and O. Sometimes it's how do you handle the situation? I got this parent that's doing this, or what do you think about the principal that I got his kid and I'm not sure. I mean, there's just always things that are just bouncing ideas off of each other. And my wife gave us treats in the morning. We had she gave us monkey bread and poppy seed bread, and so we had that going for us. So
yeah, no, I think that's great. And when we talk about coaches and doing all these things, coaching, that's what I love about the coaching profession is people helping each other, and it's like a fraternity and stuff like that. And you have it in here that just and when we go to like the IBCA clinics, it's the same kind of thing. Those are fantastic. And you've been a speaker there before, correct?
Yeah, it was funny. I put down on that I was the first speaker at the first IBCA clinic, and I never really had thought about that. But about, I don't know, a year or two ago, we were at the IBCA clinic, and Ryan Tompkins from Gibson City, Melsid, said, "Oh, here's a trivia question. Who was the first speaker at the first IBCA?" And we're all sitting around thinking, and then it dawned on me that it was me, that I was able to do that. So,
how many years ago was that?
oh my. Well, it would have been what was that player that came back and coached at ISU? Muller,
Okay,
Coach Muller.
yeah.
And it would have been one of his first years, so it had to be double digits.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's been a little bit, but yeah, what a great. I love that every year the IBCA going to that. It's a great.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that I think. Not only do you maybe pick one thing. All you got to do, especially if I've been in coaching for, like you said, 51 years. I'm not going to write everything down. I just a lot of that stuff I'd seen before. I've got it written down, or it doesn't just strike me as something that I think is plausible for our program. And so, but the chance to meet somebody, have somebody say, "Hey, have you met my assistant coach? Have you met the head coach? Whoever it is, you just get a chance, or a guy in my conference, you get a chance to meet, and there's usually a connection. Coached with somebody that they did, or you coached against somebody, or you might have coached against them. You just never know what you can do, or the impact you can have by just meeting people."
Yeah, no, it's great. I love going to those, and that's cool. I wasn't there for that first one. I wish I had been. That'd been nice. So I'd be remiss if I didn't. Again, you've got the most experience of any coach I've ever had on the show. It would be a missed opportunity because I work in the mental part of the stuff and mental stuff. I would love to pick your brain a little bit about how that has changed and the mental toughness, or even lack thereof, of the athletes that are coming in and how that's changed and what you see on that in the last 51 years that you've been doing it.
Well, one thing I for sure would say is that in general, and the communities are different, so because there's some hard-nosed communities versus more of the white collar, you got blue collar. But one thing is that it used to always be whatever the coach said was just it. I mean, it didn't make any difference. It wasn't like my son, well, there's a reason my son did something, or it was just like coach said this is you did this is wrong, so I can understand the punishment. Now they come in, they want to bargain more. So the kids, I think sometimes they talk about we might have to explain to kids, exactly what the whys and the whats. And before, I mean, you said, this is what we do, and they just did it. And so, they may question in their mind, but they never say it out loud.
Right.
So, and so, along with that, I don't know if this is what you want to touch on, but as far as doing mental toughness, I mean, we always thought adversity was the thing. So, you get them on the line and run until they were sick, or, you did crazy things that to do it. Then you'd have them shoot free throws, or so different things like that. Where now you got to give the kid. I think it seems like a lot of times that they don't have self-confidence, and I don't know whether it's how it's not as quite as strong, but kids used to seem like would be a little more self-confident at the times than they are now. And again, I don't know, you get on all these different social medias, and so everybody's worried about what people say or what's going on, and whether that affects them at a young age. I don't know, but to tell kids and say, you're good. You don't know how good you are or how good you can be, but you got to stop. You got to stop hanging your head. You've got to stop jogging down when you make a mistake. I mean, you got to somehow get them to see through that, and that's one of the things that you're addressing.
Yeah, no, I think I think you nailed on most of it. I don't think it's that much of a secret. I think that, back when you were coaching a long time ago, we didn't have any internet. We didn't have, the world was, your world was smaller, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
you could be bigger in a smaller world. And then the more that you look at what others are doing or what others think, and you start to compare yourself, you think, well, I'm not as good as so-and-so. I'm not as good as this. I'm not this. And that's the problem. It's a lot of that comparison. And then you just don't have the self-confidence, and it doesn't take much, right? It just takes, that's the problem, right? We're talking about such, it just takes a little crack in the facade, and then it starts, and then it's just, that's where the mental thing is like, it just starts to spiral down, and then it's tough.
Well, absolutely. And isn't that when we're coaching defense, what we want to do? We want to put a little doubt in the offense's mind. It doesn't take much doubt. Just a little hesitation, just a little, they're afraid maybe to drive you, or they're afraid because you're just close enough to block their shot, or you knocked them on the rebound, and so maybe they don't come quite as hard the next time, or you blow up the screen, and now the guy's starting to pull back from it. I mean, isn't that what we try to do as the defensive guys, is to rob people of that mental toughness?
Oh, absolutely. We're doing it all the time. And like you said, like a team that does a team that's maybe really quick or runs a press that really gets you, like, how many times do you see a team that they can't handle it in the first quarter, but then they start to get recognize it, and then they have to get that confidence back, and then they're okay. Or sometimes they aren't, right? Then the game is just out of control, even though they have the ability to do it. You're right. That is. Yeah.
Well, we try to do that on the offensive end. So, we got somebody who gets right up on us. We try to whip them and take it to the basket and create a 5-on-4 situation, or we end up, they're pressing us, and we try to throw long ball, so we get layups. So all of a sudden the layups, now the coach is yelling, get back. I mean, you're trying to, either way, you're trying to do something that's gonna throw that doubt into the opponent.
And perception becomes reality, right?
Oh, it does. Absolutely. Oh, there's no doubt. There is no doubt.
Yeah. And that's what's happening. Even when kids come to you and they're not as tough as their perception before was, they didn't know enough to think they weren't great or think this. So they had a lot of more self-confidence about themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know how many times we sit there and we go, he's not as good as he thinks. but it didn't stop him from still doing it, you know?
No, right?
Yeah.
Right. Or the opposite, right? We have a kid
Yeah.
that's like, they're
Yeah.
so much better than they think they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just that perception is so, yeah, it's everything. And being able to get past that and being able to figure it out is,
Oh, yeah.
it's not easy. It's very difficult, and you have to do it. And I think that's I think that's where working on the mental stuff can change it, because kids
Yeah.
especially struggle to see past their own nose,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't see the world as a bigger picture in a good way. And they become what they think they are. And a lot of times, unfortunately, now that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and your old school idea about, well, we got to run them for the adversity. I'm not against that. But I think that you've heard me talk enough to know that I believe that you can do that, but you're going to lose kids if they don't know the why. And if you don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you don't try to build their confidence first,
Yeah.
because if you know they're coming to you a little bit weaker and have some self-doubt, and then you put them through something really hard that they can't accomplish, all you're doing is making that negative spiral go down more, right? You're just making them worse.
Absolutely.
You got to do something they can accomplish and feel good about
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yeah. And build on that. Like you said, you got to build.
Yeah, you do. But it's worth it, I think.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely. Well, there's no doubt about it. And I think one of the things, and we talked about the player I brought down to you when he's going into senior year. When he was a sophomore, I mean, he would always hang his head, and we were working on that since his sophomore year, and then you just added on to the things that we were building on, and so it's been a process for him, but. He's made strides in his accomplishments on the floor at the end of the year last year. Aaron couldn't take him off the floor. He
Mm-hmm.
had to play, and it's just. I mean, but it was a build. It's like you said, it's a build.
Well, that goes to my idea that you can build this stuff. Like, you
Yeah,
can't.
yeah,
Coaches need to be willing to build that stuff and work with a
yeah,
kid, because it's not. They are growing up in a different situation now than we did. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
athletically and physically, kids can do stuff now that the kids in the
Oh,
70s wouldn't even
oh,
imagine.
unbelievable amount.
And
Yes.
and that is because of the situation they grow up in,
Yep.
right? It's not
Yep.
like if you took well, let's take myself. Like, nobody was doing the stuff that in the 90s what the kids are doing now as far as
Yeah.
dunking and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
But if you put me in as a high school kid now and had some ability and stuff like that, I'd probably be able to do all that stuff now,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because that's the situation, that's the way it is, and that's just the system. But we have to see it the same way as far as now they're a little less mentally tough and have a little
Yeah.
bit more self-doubt. It's not because they're bad kids. It's whatever it is, the situation is
Yeah.
creating that, and we have to address that.
Yeah.
We just
Absolutely.
do. Yeah. No, yeah, it's great. Let's also talk. Anytime I have somebody on here who has coached or coaches or does anything and does it from a place of faith.
Mm.
I love to pick the brain about the connection that you see between faith, athletics, mental toughness, and what you see about that. And I've had enough. That's the other thing. I know you and we've done the round tables, we've met, but we've done the Bible studies together. And I love picking your brain about this stuff. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that, Coach.
Yeah. Well, as a believer, if you're a player as a believer, you have to believe in, first of all, you have to believe in God's sovereignty. So if things happen, and you and I have had this talk about luck and sovereignty and
We
how to
have,
play that, but
yeah.
you've got to believe that whatever is going on is for your good. And that's a hard thing if you don't have faith, you're just thinking about this is just, the world's against me, or Mother Nature, or all these things that people, I mean, they always have to blame. It's always something,
Mm-hmm.
You talked about things that are inside that you can control and things that you can't. And so I think faith allows you to believe that it's going to be okay, that this isn't the end all. I mean, I think so many times that especially parents wrap it up and put in the brains of the kids that this is the end all.
Yeah.
And this is just a
It's,
little minute part of our lives, but it helps to train us. I mean, the things that you learn from sports and life and your Christian life can be the same things. To not to have that self-doubt. We have all kinds of lies going around our mind about how we're not good as adults. Adults do that all the time,
yep.
whether they're in the job, whether they're social relationships, and you have to be able to put things aside. And that's one thing. Faith shows that you've been forgiven for your sins, so you don't have to look back and you might be sad, but you don't have to regret. I mean, how many people do you talk about that you see that they regret? Oh, I remember back in 1993 when this happened, and I just still regret that. Well, you know what?
No,
It's not going to change.
right. No, I know, and it is, and that's rough. That's a hard. I don't want to say I feel bad for those people because I'd like to help them, but it's
Yeah.
tough. It's
Well,
tough.
yeah, you feel sad you're sad. I am sad for that because that's going on your mind all the time. I mean, it just and it's over. Let's look ahead. What can we do? I mean, that's whenever a mistake happens in sports and life. People that sin and maybe have affairs or have whatever they do, they rob or they do things. But you know what? Go on from there. Okay, maybe you're
Mm-hmm.
in prison. Well, go on from there. Whatever happens, you've got to go on. This is what can we do now to make it right and do things. And that's in sports. You can't look back at the last free throw you missed or the block out you missed or so.
I think, and faith helps us do that. Like we
It does
have.
absolutely.
Well, I think having your faith as a coach or as an athlete gives you another identity beyond.
Yeah.
Because if your identity is your sport,
Yeah.
man, I don't want to get back into it, but let's give this example.
No.
We want a good example of God's sovereignty. We're talking about
Yeah.
Pinckneyville hitting a little
Yeah.
dump down shot
That's right.
on the
That's right.
baseline to win the game, right? If you don't have faith, if your entire identity is that, and you've been building that identity, like that was a huge year for you, coach. You're coaching your son in a state championship game. It could have been easy for be like, this is all or nothing.
Yeah.
And to lose that could be just an unbelievably detrimental thing for you, for your son, for your family.
Oh, yeah.
And as it is, like you continued coaching. Nathaniel's a phenomenal coach. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like you have to be able to move forward from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to believe, so I've coached for 51 years in basketball. I mean, even when I was in college, I was doing some summer baseball with my brother's teams. And but I am not a coach. I'm a guy who coaches. I'm a guy who loves to coach. But my identity isn't coaching.
Yeah.
I just, and somebody, when I see people around, and it doesn't always have to be just Eureka, it's neighboring towns, but, I'll introduce myself and go, oh, are you the coach? Because I go, well, I'm not the coach, but I'm a coach, yes. And so,
yeah. 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 And I think that some people will argue that if you don't have that mindset, then you're not all in. But I disagree. I think that
I do too.
I just do. I think that, I don't know, you can't be too worried. You can't be too worried and wrapped into what you're doing to the point that it's detrimental. And I think it gets there. Well, plus yeah. Plus I think we give ourselves too much credit sometimes. Like,
Oh, I do too.
right.
There's
When
no
you're,
doubt about that.
yeah. Yeah, it's like, well, the team, it's the team won and did all this, and we had this winning season. It's all because of me, and it's like not you helped, you were
No.
part of it, but
Yeah.
you were, yeah.
Well, how many times do you go and you're the top dog and you get beat by the underdog, or you're the underdog,
Yeah.
and I mean, things just happen. You just play it out, and so, that to me that is the enjoyable part.
Yeah. So you've been at it for 51 years. How many years you got left, Coach?
I don't know, so I've been blessed to coach Micah with Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Aaron's got a boy that's a sophomore, he's got a boy as an 8th grader, and then my youngest son Zach's got a 6th grader. So that's 7 years. So I would kind of like to do that. I don't know health wise, but I feel good right now. But I mean, to me, that's fun. I mean, as
That's
long as it's
awesome.
fun for me, this is fun. I mean, building relationships, like
Oh,
relationships with you or different guys that I can call up. I called up Phil Lieb down from Florida the other day, and we
yeah.
talked. I mean, the relationships that you have, that to me, that is the most, probably what's more enjoyable than wins and losses. The
Yeah.
creation that I've had of being able to touch base and just to live with different people and being able to communicate.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it. Building those relationships, and it's probably, I do this podcast for a lot of reasons, but getting to connect with new people and new coaches and stuff like
Yeah.
this is probably one of my favorite parts of it. I just really
Oh
enjoy
yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
all right, Coach, what did I miss? What did I not ask you that I should have? Like, what's the burning question I should have asked you?
I don't know. You did a pretty good job, I think,
Okay.
of communicating. I think the one thing, and we touched on, I don't know whether how hard we hit it, but if you're a young coach or even a coach that's been in a while and you want to be successful, you got to network. I don't know how many guys I meet a guy at a clinic. He goes, "Hey, did you ever do this?" And I go, "Yeah, we ran that, And he goes, "Well, would you be willing to talk to me?" And I go, "Yeah, anytime." He just and never get a call. Give him my number, and people don't do it. I mean, I had one time some guys from Indiana come because when I was at Eureka in the '90s, that wanted to watch our run and jump. So I got out our huddle stuff and we went through it. Spent a couple hours, but uh, just having that, getting a hold of coach in general, like about 2 years ago, Nathaniel and I decided to touch base with Neil Alexander down at Lincoln about
Yeah.
some of the stuff he did offensively. Oh yeah, him and his boy both are willing to talk. We go down there, spend an hour and a half with him. Everybody wants to. If you're a basketball coach, the veterans want to talk about it, so that everybody else, you need to reach out. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. I I'm in the business of change and the business of coaching, and I can
Mhm.
tell you that people are a lot more excited with the idea of change than they are of the action of change.
That's
I
true.
I I get so many more, and it's a similar idea from what you're talking about. I get 10 times as many calls about potential clients or potential
Yeah.
like meetings than I do actual people that do something about it. And that's I I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, people are a lot more excited about the idea of change than they are the work that it takes to do it. Even if it's that phone call or whatever it is. That first step is the hardest. So, well, Coach, anything else that was really good? I love that interview. I love talking to you. I could keep going, but we have to like
Yeah.
be a little bit respectful of people that actually might want to listen. But I could keep going. I could keep going on all day.
Yeah,
Anything else,
I love
Coach?
to talk.
Anything we missed?
No,
Yeah.
nope, I don't think so. No, I really enjoyed this. I appreciate you reaching out and asking me to be a part of that. I feel honored, in fact, to be
Well,
able to
I
do that. It's
please. It's all on this end. Um, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing some of your wisdom and just some of your attitude and just some of your upbeat and your faith and all those things. I think you're a phenomenal example of the coaching profession, and I've always been a big fan of yours, and so happy to have you on.
well, thank you very much.
You bet, Coach. Thank you much. Your athlete probably spends hours working on the specific skill set they need for their sport, and they probably spend hours in the weight room building their body. But how much time do they spend intentionally training their mind? Well, building mindset is the key to bridging the gap between the skills that we see and game execution. Well, Mental Mettle Coaching provides individual programs that can help your athlete develop this third and crucial skill set. Great episode. I really enjoy every time I have a conversation with Tim Meiss. I love it. I love to sit and listen and just have the back and forth. It's just a really good conversation. And there's there's a lot of things from that episode I think to pick up, but there's two things most important. I think that are really important for information or ways to move forward for coaches. Number one, I will always put number one. Anytime a coach does this, I always put this number one, is his understanding that his identity is not as a coach. His identity is as a Christian first. And he said it there. He said, I'm not a coach. I'm a guy who coaches. And I think that I think that's so important. And I know, and the reason I bring that up is because I think a lot of coaches would scoff at that and, love the idea of being a coach, and that's their identity. And it's not all bad when it's going good. But it can cause a lot of issues. It's the same thing I see with athletes, and some of the problems we see with athletes is if that's their identity, if that's your identity, and then things aren't going well on the court, on the field, your identity is questioned internally and externally too. Your identity is questioned, and you doubt yourself that you have much worth. And that is not a great place to coach or play from. So anytime that you can, I think you have to develop an identity that's beyond the sport. It is, I know that it's hard to believe sometimes that, life is bigger than your sport. It's bigger than basketball. It's bigger than football. It's bigger than volleyball or whatever you play. It's bigger than that. And to have an identity beyond your sport is really important. And I would highly suggest that it be an identity in Christ, because I've had other episodes with guys. If you didn't, my episode with the player that talked about this, Zach Cleveland, a couple episodes back, if you want to hear it from a player perspective and how it's changed his game and the way he plays, very good episode. Because you might be thinking, well, I want a player that's all in and thinks about nothing but basketball and nothing but this. But when you hear Zach Cleveland talk about it, and I've talked to other coaches or players about it, when you hear him talk about it, it gives him a little bit more freedom to be able to play in a positive way. And Tim seeing that and understanding that is a great way. And then, but that leads me into the second part, because you might think, well, I don't want a coach that's not as invested, but watch the way Tim does it. He's all in. He's got a different identity, but he's still, and he says, I'm not a coach. I'm a guy who coaches, but he's still all in. Like, he still gives all his effort into it. But he does it in a very healthy way. And I just love, he, again, 51 years of experience, and he is still looking for that edge. As he said it, because I'm just looking for that way that'll have us make one more bucket or one more free throw. And that, again, part of that is we mentioned there, like, he missed a state championship by a bucket. So it's easy for him to say that like, hey, what if we could have done one thing that could have helped us make one more bucket? We could have had a state championship. And you don't see him like lamenting about that. And he talked about that. He's not like upset about it, but you still want to win, and you want to do the best you can for your kids, for your community, for your team. And he's doing that. He's looking for that edge. And that's why he came down to my Passion for the Process camp, the camp I ran with my son. There's an episode on that. If you are interested in that, go back and listen to that episode. Really cool camp that we ran, in which that we did like 3 hours every day. It was an hour in the classroom, an hour in the weight room, and an hour in the gym. And the hour in the classroom was all working on mental skills. But then we would take those mental skills and we would directly apply them as they lifted, as they played. And we would, my son Lane would run the drills, and I'd go around and pick up body language, notice comments, notice thoughts, the way they were acting whenever they were making mistakes. And we would I would directly coach not the physical, but the mental, and start helping them make connections between how the mental game and the mental thoughts was affecting their physical play, and helping them get that realization and help them make that switch on why we want to stay positive when we're playing, because we play better, we shoot better, we do everything better when we're more positive, and having that positive mental voice. Really cool camp. I can't wait to do it again next year. And Tim came down and watched it a couple days. He was in the sessions with us, and he was so invested, and he would ask questions, and he would have comments, and it was just great to have, again, somebody like him that was invested in it and looking for that edge. And just, I mean, again, the confidence it gave me for running that camp, having somebody like him interested, was huge. But that's a couple things about Tim, is just having that identity and then always learning. And I think that's how you can be a very, coach for several years, have that success and not get burned out, because that's huge, right? He's been doing it so long. And when you talk to him, you add him a game, he's still invested, and he was still excited about it. And that's commendable right there. The fact that he is still doing it and not burnt out. So I think that as a young coach, or even a coach, any coach that's under 51 years of experience, which is most coaches, like, take note of how Tim is doing this thing, and pay attention, because I think that there's a lot to be said for it. And also pay attention to the fact that, as he said, he thinks that this, the mental part is this next frontier. And I agree. I think that you wouldn't think about not having your basketball team lift. And I think that we are on the way. It's a slow process, but I think we're on the way of coaches getting to the point that they wouldn't think of not having their kids purposely do some mental skills, because it's so important, and it makes such a difference. And I'm seeing the difference. Beginning of this episode, I mentioned about the teams that I am working with right now, specifically for football teams. And I notice them. I notice the coaches will tell me that they notice the difference, and that they see, and they're thankful that their kids went through that stuff, because they're seeing a difference as the season progresses and as things happen. And again, that's another vote of confidence, that it's working. And I think that it's, as a coach, is something you need to be paying attention to. How are we going to do this? How are we going to build this confidence in our athletes and do it on purpose? Not have it be accidental. But yeah, so again, great episode, and I'll end with some thanks again. I started at the beginning, but I can never have enough gratitude. Everybody that listens, shares, likes, subscribes, please help me get the message out there, because I'm trying to advance athletics as a whole, as using it as a place to help kids grow and coaches grow, and not have it be a source of mental anxiety and stuff, because it's so much better than that, and we should be better than that. And I want it to be that way. So thank you for your time. I know you got busy, other things you could listen to, a lot of podcasts out there, and I thank you for listening. So I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann. This has been the Mental Mettle Podcast, and always remember to forge your metal. Thanks for listening to the Mental Mettle Podcast. Don't forget to tune in every week for more insights and strategies to help you forge mental toughness and resilience. This podcast is brought to you by Mental Mettle Coaching, where we are driven by a passion for sharing knowledge and experience that empowers others to play, live, and grow with confidence. Our mission is to instill a resilient and spirited mindset in our clients, enabling them to confidently face adversity and actively seek new challenges for personal growth. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're an athlete, educator, or professional, we're here to help you unlock your potential and thrive in every area of life. Until next time, keep growing, stay resilient, and always remember to forge your metal.